Hello, welcome back to my channel if you're new here. My name is Mary, and today's video is going to be my Sorry Picks My TBR for the month of July. So I'm hoping to get back into wrap-ups at some point, which I haven't done in a while because I've been doing vlogs and then just trying to catch up on other content that I've been wanting to make since I went down to one video a week, and apparently I can't even keep up with that. But I am just briefly going to go over the things that I had to read for June and let you know whether I read them or not. So first up, I was supposed to read The Stranger by Albert Camus. Where is it? I have not yet read that. I'm filming this on June 22nd, so there is still technically time and I might get to it. It's pretty short, but I have not read it. I have not started it. I just haven't read it yet. Then I had to read a book for Queer Rep, and for that I did not read The Line of Beauty. I picked this up, but I didn't end up reading this one either. I am planning on starting that, and so you'll see. I don't want to spoil too much of this video. I also had a short story collection, and I ended up not reading that yet either, but I am planning on reading that, so that will get read by the end of the month. And there was one other book that I definitely had on my list of things that I needed to read. Between the World and Me by Ta-Nehisi Coates was on this TBR somewhere. I'm not exactly sure where that was supposed to fall or what category that was in, but I did complete that. Ultimately, not my best reading month as far as my TBR goes, but not a terrible reading month for me in general. I just didn't really read a lot of my TBR books. Again, I think a lot of this comes down to the fact that I am pretty much relying solely on audiobooks at this point in time to get any reading done. So when there's not an audiobook for something or the audiobook is not available, I'm really not getting to those things, which is a me problem 100%. Also, I mentioned that I was still reading South to America by Imani Perry. I am still reading that. I have not read any of it this month, but I do have a loan from the library. I think I'm officially the last person who keeps putting it on hold and then getting it back. All right, and without further ado, I'm just gonna hop into this month's card pulls. Okay, we left off last time on short stories over here, so that's where we're starting this time. And first card, move forward 5. Historical fiction. So the first card that I pulled was to read a historical fiction, and for this I am gonna put The Line of Beauty back on my TBR. As I mentioned last time, this is a Man Booker Prize winner, yes. And this is about a guy who, in the 80s, I think, goes to live with some like really wealthy family in England in the Notting Hill home of the Feddens. And apparently the Feddens are Gerald, Rachel, Toby, and Catherine. And I know that this book is touted as having queer rep, so I don't know if there's some sort of relationship that's going to develop between these characters, but it is supposed to be about like really wealthy people and their lives, which is a thing that I find interesting. So I'm hoping I do enjoy this book. Again, it is quite the chunker, so we'll see how I go about getting that one read. But again, I'm hoping to start it this month since it is on this month's TBR and carry it over next month so that I can get it all the way read. But again, we'll see if that happens. Next card. Move forward 8. Sci-fi. The second card that I pulled was to read a science fiction book, and for this I'm going to be reading Station 11 by Emily St. John Mandel. This, I believe, is a pandemic book. I think it came out in like 2014. I saw a bunch of people start reading this in 2020 and then say that they actually couldn't read it. But it says, Kristen Raymond will never forget the night Arthur Leander, the famous Hollywood actor, had a heart attack on stage during a production of King Lear. That was also the night when a devastating flu pandemic arrived in the city, and within weeks, civilization as we know it came to an end. 20 years later, Kirsten moves between, I think I said Kristen earlier, but it's Kirsten, I apologize. Kirsten moves between the settlements of the altered world with a small troupe of actors and musicians. They call themselves the Traveling Symphony, and they have dedicated themselves to keeping the remnants of art and humanity alive. But when they arrive in St. Deborah by the water, they encounter a violent prophet who will threaten the tiny band's existence. And as the story takes off, moving back and forth in time and vividly depicting life before and after the pandemic, the strange twist of fate that connects them will be revealed. So I'm excited to read this. Again, I've heard amazing things about this book. I believe that she has 3 books. This one, The Glass Hotel, which I also have behind me, and then Sea of Tranquility, that are supposed to be like, not necessarily, they're not sequels or like in the same series, but I think they're kind of like in the same universe or world. And so you're kind of supposed to read them in order from what I understand. And this is the first one. I'm planning on reading this month. I hopefully will get to it. But I've heard really good things about that book and I'm very excited to jump into it. Asari, which means we add a book. We have not had one of these in quite some time, but now we're going to be picking 5 books for July instead of 4. Move Forward 7. A book by a Black author. Then I pulled Asari, so I had to add another prompt, which means I'm going to be reading 5 books instead of 4 books in June, in theory. In July, sorry, in theory. Again, I'm not the best at keeping with this TBR at the moment, but let me know if I should start bringing back punishments. I'm hesitant to do that because I'm trying not to like put too much pressure on myself, but maybe that would be more interesting for you because I bet it's a bummer to see me pull these TBRs and be like, yeah, I didn't read anything from them. But if you have ideas for what a punishment could be, let me know in the comments down below. Then the prompt that I landed on was to read a book by a Black author. And for that prompt, I did end up picking My Sister, the Serial Killer by Oyinkan Braithwaite. I don't know how her name is pronounced, but this is a mystery thriller, and I believe the premise of this book is essentially a woman whose sister keeps like murdering all of her boyfriends and dragging her sister in on it. And then the sister is dating someone that the other sister, like the main character, likes. And she doesn't want her sister to kill this man because she likes him. So I think it's kind of like, what was that? 27 Dresses, where like the sister ends up dating the boss that the other sister's been in love with forever. And so she's like kind of trying to like sabotage their relationship. I don't know if that's exactly what this is going to be. But I do know this is set in, I believe, Nigeria. I could be wrong. It might not say. But I'm really excited to read this one. This also did the rounds on BookTube a few years ago, and I wanted to read it then, and I never got around to it, but now I'm getting around to it, and I hope it's good. Let me know if you've read this one and how you felt about it. Move Forward 12. A book that's more than 500 pages. The next prompt I landed on was to read a book that is more than 500 pages. And for this, I'm just now realizing that I now have 2 books on this TBR that are more than 500 pages. But that's okay. For this, I picked Cloud Cuckoo Land by Anthony Doerr. This will be my second Anthony Doerr that I've read. I also read his World War II historical fiction, which I can't remember the name of it. But it's about like a main character who's blind, and her dad like makes these little like, I don't know, mini villages to teach her the town. And then there's kind of like a mystery element to it. I didn't love that book, but I've mentioned that World War II historical fiction is typically not for me. So this, I believe, is in multiple timelines. And yeah, there's one in the 15th century about an orphan named Anna. There's one in the present day in a library in Idaho about an octogenarian, which I believe means like an 80-year-old, named Zeno. And then there's a not so distant future on an interstellar ship called the Argos, Constance. And I think this is a cyclical type of story. So I think in the 15th century, things are happening. In the present day, things are happening. And in the future, things are happening. But it's kind of like the same like cycle. Something about the cover of it like really speaks to me. I pretty much I put this book on my TBR not knowing anything about Anthony Doerr or this book, just because I like the cover so much and the title. I don't know, something about it is very evocative to me. I really, really enjoy it. But I am excited to read this one. I don't know that I've heard very much about it, to be honest with you. I remember like I saw it everywhere, but I don't know that I've heard very many reviews of it. So if you've read it, again, let me know what you thought about it. But I am, I'm pretty excited for this one, actually. I like the cyclical history repeats itself type of thing. I think that's really interesting. I like the multiple time periods over a long span of time. I've read a couple of books that have similar tropes to that I've really enjoyed. One being East of Eden and the other being Homegoing by Yaa Gyasi. I loved that book, and it wasn't necessarily cyclical, but it followed one family for like generations after the family like split into 2 very distinct directions, which was really, really interesting. So this isn't exactly like either of those things, but it has elements that I liked of both. So I'm hoping that I enjoy it. And hopefully the last card, Move Forward 1, a debut novel. And last but not least, the 5th prompt is to read a debut novel, and I'm actually going to cheat for myself, kind of. I'm not going to read something off my shelves for this. I'm going to be reading The School for Good Mothers by Jessamine Chan, which I believe is a dystopian novel. I'm going to read you the Goodreads blurb. This is recent. This just came out. well, okay, came out over a year ago, actually. Came out January of 2022. I have just been hearing a lot about it right now. So I'm going to let you know what it says. It says, Frida Liu is struggling. She doesn't have a career worthy of her Chinese immigrant parents' sacrifices. What's worse, she can't persuade her husband, Gus, to give up his wellness-obsessed younger mistress. I'm having a hard time reading, apparently. Only with their angelic daughter, Harriet, does Frida finally feel she's attained the perfection expected of her. Harriet may be all she has, but she's just enough until Frida has a horrible day. The state has its eyes on mothers like Frida, ones who check their phones while their kids are on the playground, who let their children walk home alone. In other words, mothers who only have one lapse of judgment. Now, a host of government officials will determine if Frida is a candidate for the big brother-like institution that measures the success or failure of a mother's devotion. Faced with the possibility of losing Harriet, Frida must prove that she can live up to the standards set for mothers, that she can learn to be good. This propulsive, witty page-turner explores the perils of perfect upper-middle-class parenting, the violence enacted upon women by the state and each other, and the boundless love a mother has for her daughter. So, I've heard very mixed things about this, but I'm really interested in like dystopian novels that are being published recently. Also, I think Station 11 kind of counts as dystopian as well. I might make a whole vlog of reading dystopian books, these two for sure, and then maybe one or two others, because there are a couple others that like have caught my eye. But that is everything that I'm planning on reading. That's not true. I lied. I have one more book to talk about. I guess two. I'm still buddy reading The Grapes of Wrath with Amy from ASR Reads. We are both like struggling our way through it. But I know we're both like really busy. She's doing like teacher exam stuff right now to like get her teacher qualifications. And I'm just like, you know, living my best life. I'm trying not to get too far ahead of her, but also I'm reading other things and figuring it out, just slowly meandering my way through. I think we're both still enjoying it. But as that indicates, it's not something that I feel like I have to consume it right now, if that makes sense. But the buzzword for this month is weather words. So for this, I'm going to be using Cloud Cuckoo Land as one of them. Cloud. And then I'm also going to be reading LA Weather by Maria Amparo Escondón. This is, I think, just a literary fiction book about like the wildfires in Los Angeles and primarily about a family who lives in Los Angeles during this time. This is actually an advanced reader's copy. I've never had a physical one of these. I bought this from a bookstore, like a used bookstore here in town, and I didn't realize it was an ARC until I got home. And then I was like, I have an ARC now, I guess. I think this was like to the store. But anyways, it says, LA is parched and dry as a bone, and all Oscar, the weather-obsessed patriarch of the Alvarado family, desperately wants is a little rain. He's harboring a costly secret that distracts him from everything else. His wife, Kayla, desperate for a life with a little more intimacy and a little less Weather Channel, feels she has no choice but to end their marriage. Their three daughters, Claudia, a television chef with a hard-hearted attitude, Olivia, a successful architect who suffers from gentrification guilt, and Patricia, a social media wizard who has an uncanny knack for connecting with audiences but not with her lovers, are blindsided and left questioning everything they know. Each will have to take a critical look at her own relationships and make some tough decisions along the way. With quick wit and humor, Escondón follows the Alvarado family as they wrestle with impending evacuations, secrets, deception, betrayal, and their toughest decision yet, whether to stick together or burn it all down. So that's the last thing I'm really planning on reading this month. That makes 7-ish books, again, if you count Grapes of Wrath, which I do. I guess 8 if you count South to America by Imani Perry, which I tentatively do. It's not like I don't have to read it this month, but I do want to finish it. I've just spent so much time reading it at this point that I feel like I should finish it. But as always, let me know in the comments down below what you were planning on reading for July, what you have read. If you have read any of these books, let me know how you felt about them. I also wanted to go over some of my ideas. You can let me know if you like these or don't like these in the comments down below. Or, you know, don't interact. That's fine. Do whatever you want. But for July, I have a couple of reading vlogs that I'm planning on putting up. One being, I'm going to try to do a buzzword reading vlog. I'm filming one for June's buzzword right now. And so for July, it would be these 2 books. Potentially not another book because Cloud Cuckoo Land in particular is kind of a chunker. So that is an option. I'm also sort of tentatively getting rid of my idea to do the mystery thriller vlog. I did not keep up with it. So I've thought about doing a dystopian reading vlog since I'm reading this and The School for Good Mothers. Let me know if you'd be interested in that. And then again, I don't know if I'm going to try to include this in a vlog. I was going to try to do a queer reading vlog this month and use this and a few other books, more recently published books, but the line was long for the 2 books that I was interested in adding to this vlog, and then I just didn't have any desire to pick this up, and I can't find an audiobook of it for my library, so I would have to buy one. And while I did that for Grapes of Wrath, because I really wasn't physically reading and I had committed to that book, I don't know if I'm willing to do that for this, or if I should just wait until I'm in the mood to like sit down and actually read something. But those are my like tentative ideas. I've also read 2 books that have TV shows and watched the TV shows. So I have 2 like book versus adaptation reviews upcoming, and a 3rd one that I finished the book and I haven't watched the show yet. One is Sharp Objects because it was requested. I know that show came out quite some time ago, but I figured I've seen the show now, I've read the book, I might do that video at some point in July. That might be a bonus video to go up in the middle of the week. I also have finished, 9 Perfect Strangers. So I have that. If you would like to see my thoughts on the show versus the book for that one, or just a review of either, I'd be interested in doing that if you want to let me know. I did Sharp Objects because someone asked me to, on my last book versus movie or book versus adaptation review. And then also I've read Saint X, and I want to watch the show for that, to do that adaptation as well. I think that show came out this year, so that's a little more, it should be higher priority. But yeah, that's one thing that I've been doing a lot of, but I haven't been filming any of those videos, but I have like notes and notes on my phone of the differences between them. So let me know if you're interested in any of those over any other ones. Specifically, if you're interested in 9 Perfect Strangers. I know that show came out a while ago and the book came out before that even, but if you're interested in how that was adapted and how I felt about it in particular, let me know and I will make that video. If not, I've seen the show, I've read the book, and it's no big deal to me either way. But yeah, those are my like sort of plans for July. So hopefully there will be some reading vlogs, some book versus movie adaptations, and hopefully I will get back into doing wrap-ups of things that I've read. Because in theory, when I was doing monthly vlogs, I was like, it's not necessary to do a wrap-up of everything that I've read because I'm vlogging for every book that I'm reading. That has turned out to not be the case. So I can do that for you. I'm also toying with the idea of doing a like just big wrap up for this year, because I haven't done a wrap up since January. I wrapped up my books in January, I didn't wrap up February, and then it's, about to be July. So that's February, March, April, May, June, 5 months. I can do like a big wrap up where I just do everything for the first half of the year except for January's books that you've already heard me talk about, and basically say like speed reviews, or I can just start over and do monthly wrap ups and just nix all those books that I read in the interim. Let me know in particular if you would like the speed review version. I'm probably going to wrap up June by itself, and then I can go back if you're interested in my thoughts on the books that I read in the months that I was like not posting wrap ups. I can do that for you. But yeah, I don't want to do things that people don't want to see, if that makes sense. Because it takes a lot of time to film and edit these videos, that if nobody watches it or nobody cares about it, then it's not really worth my time and it's not worth yours if you're not interested in it. So yeah, that is it. I'm also probably going to do the mid-year book wrap up, the mid-year book freak out tag. That's what it's called. Mid-year book tag, whatever they're calling it now. I'm probably going to do that because I've done that every year and I always have a fun time with it. So that's something else you can look forward to in July. But without further blabbering, because now I've been talking for 5 minutes about things that you probably didn't care about when you clicked on this video. That's it. Thanks so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to like it, subscribe to my channel if you would like to see more videos from me. Let me know in the comments down below if any of those things sound good, bad, or indifferent to you. In particular, let me know if there's videos that you would definitely watch or definitely not watch, because that will play a large part into my decision making. But thank you so much for watching this video, as always, and I will see you again soon. Bye!